Hello, and welcome back to the Irish Tennis Updates podcast, and welcome back to another episode of the College and Pro Tennis Update. I am talking once again to Mark Finnegan about all of the latest results for the Irish players playing college tennis at the moment. It's been another really busy 2 weeks in the States, and it's great to catch up on everything that's been going on. Big thanks to Mark, as always, for his time in putting this together. And here we go. Here's the update. Hey, Mark, firstly, how are things? How are you doing?
Hi, Adam. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, everything's good, apart from the fact I think the last time we talked, we hoped we were going to be playing tennis this week, but turns out that we're going to have to wait a little bit longer, which is a little bit frustrating, but fingers crossed here. Hopefully another 2 or 3 more weeks, I think, is the scheduled time for us to start playing tennis again. But America continues to play a lot of tennis, and there's been a few cancellations with a few COVID matches, but for the most part, everything's going well over there.
Good stuff. Yeah. No, hopefully we will be back before too long. But to start today, where do you want to jump in today with some of that college action?
Yeah, let's start with the females this week. We did the males last week, and
yeah,
I think let's follow that. We'll work our way from the west coast backwards. So starting with the twins again, they've actually been on a little bit of a slide here, losing the last 5 matches since they've been going outside, and the record now stands at 7-8. They have actually a match this week with Sacramento State, which is Shauna Casey's team. So another match where it'll feature multiple Irish tennis players, which will be great. Lola has continued to have a fantastic singles season, and her record is currently sitting at 9-3 in singles. And the girls have done fantastic in doubles with a 10-3 doubles record. Then working our way over to Zara at Utah State. Zara's team is currently at 6-6, but they've lost actually the last 3 out of the last 4 matches. But Zara still has had a great season. She's 8-5 at the number 2 position. And they actually too play another Irish team, which is Boise State and Shauna Heffernan's team this weekend. So another matchup of multiple Irish players. And then we just mentioned Shauna there. Shauna's team has had a pretty good last 2 weeks. Their record is an impressive 9-3. Shauna has done very well lately. She's 6-4 in singles right now. So she's back to having a winning record and an impressive 9-3 doubles record. And they've won a couple of matches in a row there at the number 1 position. They're into their conference schedule too as well now. I think they're 3-1 in conference, losing their only match to UNLV. Sophia Dervin's team, big win over Washington State, which would typically be a very good program, 4-3. The team's record is 8-9. They actually had a match versus San Francisco, which is Cara Courtney's team. The other week, Cara's team actually won that match 6-1. I think Sophia and Cara actually played each other in doubles.
Okay.
And Cara won her singles match. I think Sophia won her doubles match, and Sophia's singles match did not finish. So again, lots of Irish playing Irish out west. And then we talked about Shauna Casey earlier. Their team still continues to struggle at a 1-12 record. They've had a bit of a long break here off. And they play Idaho State, actually, with the twins next weekend. So another match where it'll feature multiple Irish players. And then, as we mentioned, Cara, their team record, they're having a very good season at 9-4. They've won their last 4 matches, like we said, beating Colorado's team 4-1. And also, as well as Cara has played, it seems like keeps coming in and out of the lineup, playing a little bit of doubles and a little bit of singles. And I can only think that's still something to do with that injury that she's been battling all year.
Yeah.
That's for out west.
Yeah, and just obviously the big thing there is, as you said, a lot of those Irish, which I always do like to see. But just a question on Sol and Lola: have they been playing doubles together the whole season? Have they?
Yeah, they've played doubles primarily at the 2 and 3 position. And I think they started off at 3, then went to 2, and then have played a little bit back at 3 position again. So yeah, I think they won't be separated. I don't think those for their 4 years. I think they're very good together, and I'm sure they'll find themselves at the number 1 doubles position eventually for Idaho State.
Yeah, that's good to see. And to move on to the south, I know I saw that Georgia Drummy's team in Duke I saw Georgia back in the lineup, and I saw they had a really tight one. So what's the action in the south?
Yeah, so 11-5 team record there for Duke, and the 4 losses that actually come from Duke are in conference play, the ACC, which is typically one of the strongest female conferences. They did lose a heartbreaker there in their last match, 4-3 against NC State, which is a very, very good program. I know Georgia's singles ranking dropped a little bit there, down to 77 in the nation, but she actually is now a doubles ranked player at number 39 in doubles in the country, which is very impressive because she's playing number 3 doubles. So typically a 3 doubles team wouldn't get that much opportunity to be ranked. but they've obviously had a great year at three doubles. And so they actually have a chance of making the NCAA doubles championships, as well as she's got a chance of making the singles championships. So she could actually be in all three facets of the NCAA tournament at the end of the year, which is very impressive. Jessica Lehman continues to have a strong end to the year. Team's record is 5-10, but they're a perfect 4-0 in their conference. Jessica's continued to play at that number 3 spot, and she's actually on a 5-match win streak in singles. So I know she had a bit of a tough start to the year, but seems to be finishing off really well. Great to see Ali O'D. Looks like she's back in the lineup again in singles. She played at number 6 singles. They had a really good win, first ever in program history, against William and Mary. William and Mary be a very strong women's program throughout the years. And so Elon is the first time in their program history to ever beat them. So that just continues to see what a great year Elon are having at 13-4 team record. Ali's still a very good stronghold in the doubles lineup for them at 8-4 doubles record at number 2 position. And Anna Botel's Rice, still very impressive with a 12-4 team record. Anna's at an 11-4 singles record. She actually moved up and played a little bit of 2 in the lineup in the singles for a while there, but seems to be back at number 4 again. That might have been because maybe they were missing a player from the lineup or something like that. So very good season for Anna. They look like they're on target to make the NCAA tournament, which will be great.
Very good. And just before you go on, just a quick question on what you mentioned on Georgia about the rankings. It seems like it's quite a slip, but would that be kind of normal for rankings for this kind of division of college tennis, like drops and I guess what would it be likely to then rise a bit over the next few weeks?
Well, and I don't know how much this is to do with it, yes, but over the next couple of weeks, their computer rankings, the more matches that are played and the more matches get counted into the computer rankings, there definitely does seem to be a bit of a change in numbers going up and down. Typically if Georgia has one more good win against a decently ranked player in the rest of the year, she should be able to move that ranking up inside top 50 again. If you beat a player ranked, say, 35 or 40 in the country, that'll be a significant amount of points in the computer rankings to jolt you up from a 77 all the way up into maybe the top 50. So, it's so competitive up at the top of the lineup for at all of these players and these schools. So sometimes if you lost a couple of tight ones, I think she lost a tight one 7-5 in the third last against NC State against a very highly ranked player. So she just needs to get one more good quality win under her belt, and she should be a qualifier for the NCAA Singles Championships.
Very good. And what ranking would you be looking to be at?
Yeah, so what they would call an at-large bid. So that would be a player who is not the number one player in their conference or has won some sort of championship to receive an automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. You'd be talking about typically maybe the top, say, 40, 45 players would typically be guaranteed a spot probably in the 64 draw.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's changed at all with due to COVID with this year's NCAA championships. I'm presuming it hasn't, but that would be typical in a typical year. Every top player in every conference, if you're a ranked singles player inside of top 125, you get an automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. And that's something when I was at North Florida, we benefited greatly from. We were in a conference that wouldn't be one of the top conferences, but a middle tier conference. And so we always had our top ranked doubles team, our top ranked singles player who was inside of the top 125. They'd always get an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. So that's why sometimes when you're playing at these maybe smaller conference teams, you can actually have a lot of individual opportunity if you're playing in the top of the lineup.
Okay. That's interesting. And to move on to look at the Northeast and Midwest action, what's been going on down there?
Yeah, so we'll start with Emily Donovan. Then Emily's team is struggling a little bit with a 1-5 record. Their only win is against a Wagner team from New York, right next to New York City. Emily's been playing 5 at singles and 3 doubles. So I guess the thing for them is, they're at least they're getting to play a couple of matches now. It's been really difficult more in the Northeast to get these matches played. But so a bit of a struggle there, but great to see her playing. Ellie Murphy's Iowa State continue to have a very impressive, probably their best ever season in history. Team's 12-4, 4-2 in one of the best conferences again, the Big 12. She hasn't featured in that lineup, but that's not to say that she hasn't been playing some great tennis and getting better as a player. That team is at an all-time high, and I've no doubt that if Ellie keeps playing over the summer, that she'll come back in a better position to maybe be more solidified in the top 6.
Yeah.
So then we got Kira O'Toole. This is a great example of maybe Kira's found a better fit, but she seems to be thriving at Sacred Heart from a results standpoint anyway. Team record is at 5-4. They're 4-1 in their conference. And she did play the last match at number 2, but she's been primarily playing at number 1 singles and doubles and doing a great job and winning a lot of matches. Probably still the most impressive to me as a team right now at the moment is Northwestern with Julie Byrne. Their team is 16-2, which is incredible to think, because their conference actually, apart from the ITA kickoff weekend, which is a national tournament, they've played all of their matches have been conference matches, and they've played each other home and away this year. So to be only 16-2 and only lose one conference match in an incredibly competitive conference such as the Big Ten is an incredible achievement. Julie has had a tough loss in her last 2 matches in singles, but has also won in the doubles. So their team seems like they're on a magical run this year too as well. I haven't seen Jenny Timothy in the lineup. Their team is actually struggling at a 4-10, but I haven't seen Jenny at all. They just lost another tight one. They've lost a lot of 4-3 battles to Penn State. So hopefully, fingers crossed here, Jenny can maybe, if she's not injured or something's going on, that she can get back in that lineup. Same goes for Lucy Octave. Lucy Octave's Xavier having a fantastic year, one of their best years in a long time, 11-3 team record, but haven't seen Lucy in that lineup and not sure why. Laura Fitzgerald's team had a nice recovery. They actually won their last 3 matches 4-3. Okay, so that's really tight battles they've been in. So their records as a team has gone to 14-7. Laura has been in the doubles lineup, but I haven't seen her in the singles lineup, so I'm not sure what's going on there, if she's battling something, because she had been a staple in that lineup for a very long time. That's it for the D1 girls.
Yeah, very good. And I guess to move on then to the D2 and NAIA, what's the action there?
Yeah, so we got the 2 twins again, Caitlin and Annie. Caitlin's record now is 10-5 in singles at the number 3 spot, and Annie's record has been 14-2 at the number 1 spot in singles. I know she had a tough loss there against one of their rivals last week. Their doubles is incredible with 13-2 doubles record, and their team stands at a 10-4, and I believe they're still ranked inside the top 25 Division 2 ranking. So hopefully they're going to be able to earn a bid to the NCAA tournament. The NCAA tournament in Division 2 is not as big of a field. So in Division 1, you'd have 64 teams that make the NCAA tournament. In Division 2, I'm not 100% sure on the exact number of this, but I believe it's 24 or 32. I cannot remember. So it's a smaller field. So they're right on the cusp of maybe being what's called, again, an at-large bid, which means they wouldn't have to win their conference to get into the NCAA tournament. They would be an automatic qualifier. Emer Mara's team for Barton College, they continue to have another great year, as well as Emer. Team is 7-2 in the year, 3-2 in their conference. Emer continues to have a great year, winning a lot of number 2 singles. And Emily Connolly now has become a nice staple in the Indiana Wesleyan University NAI team that's ranked inside the top 10. She's played now primarily at the 4, 5, and 6 spots, primarily more at 5. Her record is now 5-3 in singles and 5-1 in doubles. The team is in 24-3. Again, I think I mentioned this the last time. One of the massive advantages the NAIA I have over NCAA is that I don't think they'd have a rule against how many matches you're able to play. So NCAA only entitled to play you X amount of matches per year for student athletes, whereas NAIA don't have that same rule. So it's a great opportunity for these NAIA schools. They play a ton of matches in the fall and the spring, which can be a great development tool for coaches. I know sometimes I hear the NCAA coaches are jealous of the NAIA coaches of what they're able to do when it comes to that.
No, that's great, and I guess 24-3 is unbelievable record as well. And just before we move on, then I guess hopefully we will see Annie and Caitlin with Tusculum getting into the qualifying for the NCAA Division 2 later on in the season. We can keep an eye out for that and hopefully see some success for them.
Yeah, and look, as a player, the one of the best experiences you'll ever have is going to the NCAA tournament. As an individual and as a team, it really is. You play an extra probably 2 or 3 or 4 sometimes weeks of tennis if you do make the NCAA tournament, which is great for your development. But it's just a great time of the year, and the NCAA do a great job of running their championships. They put a lot of money into making it a really special experience, and it's done so professionally to the level where I think it's done at the same level as an ATP or a Challenger tournament. How well it's organized.
Okay, yeah, and when is that going to be? How many weeks until that's kicking off?
Those a typical year would have been like starting around the early May, but I think they pushed it back a week or two this year. So I think it starts maybe around like the second week of May or third week of May, and then it'll run right all the way into the end of May, where the singles and doubles championship happens after the team championship.
Okay. And now to move on to the coaches, the three coaches in action. How have their teams been doing?
Well, we say three, but funny enough is Peter Wright's Cal Berkeley finally will play a match after a very long time against USC this weekend. They have not played at all. Their record is still 2-1 from the kickoff weekend. Really, that was it. So I have no idea what happened at Cal. Maybe they just decided to opt out of it, but they're finally playing their first match this weekend after a very long layoff. And then also as well as Dara Glavin at Miami, they've had a ton of matches in the last 2 weeks cancelled due to COVID. So their team is still 4-7 record. Their last match, I think, was against South Florida, which was a top 50 win, but they haven't played since. And then we have Peter Fleming at Montana, where their team record is a 6-10. They were coming off a big win over Gonzaga, which were ranked inside the top 75, but then they've lost their last two matches since then. So it's been an up and down season for Montana, it looks like.
Okay, yeah. And I guess that moves us in to look at some of the guys and I guess the D1, D2 action. What's been going on?
Well, yeah, and I guess we can start with Oisin again from Montana. So Oisin, like we said, they're 6-10 on the team record. Oisin's really playing some great tennis. 4 out of his 5 last matches, he's won at number 2. So congratulations to him. He just keeps going from strength to strength. Again, this probably brings up a great point, Adam, how important it is for us Irish and for every player to make sure that you're playing continuous year-round tennis. Sometimes what I saw as a coach was the players who were able to, take a little bit of time off during the summer, but still keep competitive, still playing tournaments. They come back and they get better and better each year. They also they're more prepared and ready when it comes to January. So sometimes you can be just starting to play your best tennis at the end of March and end of April or beginning of April, but then you've only got another couple of weeks before season's over again. So, a big goal for me and a big goal I believe for Tennis Ireland is to try put some more pathways there for Irish tennis players to be able to play what we call year-round tennis, where they're constantly being competitive. Yes, taking some breaks, but then that way they're progressing year to year. I know college coaches, really that's important to them when they're recruiting, that they want players like this. So then we move over to Thomas Brennan. Thomas himself has been doing excellent. The record of the team is 5-7. They've played a pretty tough schedule. They actually had played Mark Griffin's Marion. So that's a great situation to see that an NCAA school playing an NAIA school because they're located in the same city. That match was won by Butler 7-0, but Mark played the Butler number 3 player, pretty competitive, close second set, 7-6 in the second. Thomas has been playing back in the top of the lineup again, has played a little bit of 2 and 1, and has had some success. Every time he's lost, it seems like Thomas, he's gone down fighting. It's always been a 3-set match. So keep the good work there, Thomas. Sean Keane, last time we spoke, had been doing excellent. Have not seen him featured in the lineup. The team is 4-9. So Sean was actually supposed to play Limestone last weekend, which features obviously 2 more Irish with Dovey and his brother. And none of those Irish players actually ended up playing in that match. So something was going on there. I'm not sure what, but interesting situation. Then we have Matthew Saunders. Their team is now 6-6. They just lost a really tight one to Walsh, 4-3. Matthew has been playing number 6 in the lineup, and I think he's been having some wins and some losses, but their team seems to be doing pretty decently. And then moving over to Mark Griffin. Mark Griffin, again, we talked about him, just played Butler, Thomas Brennan's team. Their current record, again, is 13-9. You can just see, again, NAIA University. Again, how many matches they've played comparable to an NCAA team, right? Mark is back in the lineup, that number 3 singles position, and has been winning a lot apart from that Butler match. Cian McDonald team continues to have a great season. Their record stands now as a team at 10-4. Cian 8-2 in singles and still playing at that number 3 singles position and number 1 doubles position. They actually had their last few matches there postponed due to COVID. Not sure if that was related to their team or the other teams that they were playing against. Moritz Stenzer continues to play a very tough schedule in D2. For example, they just played their last 2 matches. They played the number 2 ranked and number 3 ranked team in the nation. Barry University would be a famous Division II university in Florida. They would be playing at the same level as a top 50, maybe even better Division 1 university. So Moritz still playing that 6th spot, lost in a tight 3-set match against a very good player from Barry. And then moving over to Col. Col's actually team is now 8-8. They were undefeated in conference, but they just lost their first conference match to Radford. Col did find himself back in the singles lineup at number 6 singles, but unfortunately didn't have success in that match and winning his match. A huge congratulations to Christian Duffy, Stonehill College. Finally played his first match. Oh, yeah, we feel like every week we were hoping that he was going to play. So congratulations to get you going on the season. They are 0-2, but Christian has won his singles and doubles matches at the number 1 position. So well done, Christian. And then we just talked about the Limestone with Davi and his brother. Obviously, not sure why that's going on, why they're out of the lineup. But yeah, I have no idea, because they were both doing so well before in doubles and singles. So then we have Fergus O'Rourke with Spring Hill College. Tough season for Spring Hill College, 2-8 record. Fergus continues to play at number 2 position. Had a really tight loss against the number 2 player for West Florida, which would be a powerhouse Division 2 program. Played them very close, so that's good to see Fergus getting some tight matches. Morgan Lowen, team 4-10. Iowa just seem to be having a really tough year. It's their final year. Their program's going to be cut next year. Haven't seen Morgan in the lineup. They just lost to a Nebraska team that were struggling a little bit too. So it just seems like it's been a real tough year on Iowa. Philip Lynch, don't know what's going on there. Hope Philip, everything's okay, but haven't seen him in the lineup still. The record of the team is 1-6, and Philip had been playing the first few matches of the year, but has not been in the team since. And so then we also have Neil O'Connor for Coastal Carolina. Team are 6-5 record. They just came off a dramatic weekend win over UNC Greensboro 4-3. It came down to the final match, then played Wake Forest, which would be a very good, traditionally Division 1 ranked university on the men's side, won a national championship 2 years ago. They actually played them very competitively, lost 5-2. They actually won a doubles point against Wake Forest, but didn't see Neil in the lineup in that match. Charlie Barry's Tulane, 11-5 team record. They continue to be top 25 in the country. They're looking great and having an incredible year, very competitive roster. So haven't seen Charlie there. Jonathan Garcia, record is 3-5 as a team record. Jonathan's still been playing, actually stepping up into number 2 position, I believe, last week in the lineup. Their latest win is over Holy Cross, and they're 1-0 in conference. And then finally, Finley McFadden, team is 7-5. They're in the same conference as Cahill Butler, Gardner Webb. Have not seen him in the lineup, but the team is at a 7-5 record. It seems like Finley maybe is the guy that comes into the lineup once if they have some issues with an injury or something to do with COVID. It looks like he's the next man up at the number 7 position. So that's it. That's a good update for the last 2 weeks. I think in the next probably 2 weeks, when we talk again, it'll be just the start of some of the conferences of their start of their conference tournaments. So that's something that we can explain to the listeners, what happens with your conference tournaments and how that's different from other years because of COVID this year. They've changed some of the conferences, the way they're doing their conference championships now. So.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that. That'll be interesting in a couple of weeks' time to catch up on that and see what's going on. I'll just jump in with a couple of updates on the pro side. Firstly, Simon Carr he was playing in Tunisia the last few weeks, and then the last 2 weeks he has been in India. The first week he reached the quarterfinals in singles, and then reached the second week reached his first semi-final of the year, and also a doubles final that first week. So a really good couple of weeks for Simon. His first semi-final, as I said, and it really feels like he's on the right path to reach some finals and titles before too long. And just an interesting note that it's exactly this week 2 years ago that he won his first futures event in Tunisia. Also, we've had qualifying action for Amar El Amin, Dorian Koss, Cian Maguire, Dan O'Neill, Preston Connor, and Oscar O'Hushin. So all of those guys have been playing over the last couple of weeks in Tunisia, Egypt, India, and this week in Tunisia, there have been wins for Dorian Koss and Amar. Dorian reached the final qualifying round, and Amar reached the second round. So good to see some wins for those guys. And finally, very best of luck to Carola Bejanaro, who is back in action this week in Tunisia in the singles and doubles draw, back in action there. So best of luck to Carola this week, and that is all the updates there.
Well, Adam, just on a note there too, as well as first off, congratulations to Dorian. It seems like he's obviously keeps improving if he's making the last round of qualies. But just to give people an understanding just where the level's gone with qualies in futures, because there's so few futures out there in the world at the moment, plus the level of tennis obviously continues to grow. But those second rounds for Amar, they featured him playing guys I know from back when they played in college tennis. These guys would have been extremely highly ranked Division One NCAA players, right? And with a lot of experience behind them. One played for South Florida, another guy played for Florida State. But just to give them an idea, like that's a 4 or 5 years older player than Amar playing, that has had a lot of experience. So the level right now at the moment out there for junior players and for players just graduating from juniors, it's become so high in these futures that this is why I think this giving it some time to be able to mature physically, mentally, and emotionally in college is definitely standing a lot to these athletes coming out of college, so they're able to directly be able to not have to kind of get what we always say, get kind of caught in the mud and in the sand pit of the futures, right? So very challenging, but commending all of those players for getting out there and traveling during these difficult times.
No, yeah, big thanks for all the updates, Mark. Anything else before we finish this one up?
No, that's great. Thanks for taking the time to chat, Adam.
And that is it for this episode. A big thanks to Mark, as always, for his time, and thank you for listening to this episode. I love giving the players the recognition. I think it's really great to be aware of and recognize what they are doing. So thank you for listening. I'm really looking forward to the next episode in a couple of weeks' time as the season continues to progress nicely. So until next time, goodbye.